And welcome back to the Constitution Line by Line. Paul Fabrizio here.
Don Frazier, and we're slugging it through the chief executive.
Slugging?
Slugging.
There's a little bit of slugging going on here behind the scenes.
Article 2.
Article 2, Section 1, Clause 5, and we're talking about the death, removal, or inability of the president to serve.
Yeah, that's...
Okay.
Everything old is new again.
Yeah, thank God they thought of this. Okay, in case of removal of the president, wow, they already start with that. In case of the removal of the president from office, or of his death, resignation, or inability to discharge the powers and duties of the said office, the same shall devolve on the vice president, and the Congress may by law provide for the case of removal, death, resignation, or inability both of the president and vice president, declaring what officer shall then act as president, and such officer shall act accordingly until the disability be removed or a president shall be elected.
So this is the line of succession.
This creates the line of succession.
Okay.
President,
designated survivor.
Yeah, exactly. President, vice president, then Congress gets to do the rest. And so Congress has designated the Speaker of the House, President pro tem of the Senate, and then it goes to the cabinet. It starts with the Secretary of State and works its way through the other members.
It's not surprising that Congress would vote for the House of Representatives
first
to be third in line.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So if
the rabble,
if the president and vice president were to die, then Speaker Nancy Pelosi would become the Speaker of the House. Would become the president. I apologize.
Yeah, she is Speaker of the House.
She is Speaker of the House. I apologize.
But that just was like somebody walked across my grave.
Now, and we briefly mentioned this before, the president pro tem of the Senate.
Yeah.
That's the temporary president of the Senate, and it's chosen by tradition to be the most senior member of the majority party.
The old drooler in the corner.
Exactly. And so that person is fourth in line to be president. So there's an expectation, I think, that if we go to that person probably would resign so that they would not become president.
And then go to number 5 in line.
Secretary of State.
Okay.
And the Secretary of State, of course, currently is Mike Pompeo.
Yeah.
And so, former member of Congress, Harvard Law grad, that sort of thing. So, you got to figure out these things, and I'm glad they have made this effort.
Yeah.
And, of course, it's because of this you brought up the designated survivor.
Yeah, because this is in an era before weapons of mass destruction.
Yes. But there is this fear that when the president gets together for big events, the inauguration, State of the Union message, what if disaster happens?
What if there's a decapitation strike?
Exactly. Or just a big earthquake and the whole building collapses.
That's true.
So who continues the government? And so typically one member of the cabinet is shuttled off someplace by the Secret Service, and they're held in a secret location. And they're there just in case disaster strikes. So, and it used to be...
Sounds like a good idea for a serial drama.
Yeah. And in fact, it was. He's referring to designated survivor. Is that still on?
I have no idea.
I don't know either.
I didn't watch it.
I watched the first couple of episodes, and it got so carried away. It was just like, I can't watch this.
Well, you can't watch political shows. I can't watch history shows. I mean, we're the worst people to go to a movie with.
Well, I don't know about
Except for Star Wars or something like that.
Yeah, the Avengers, yeah.
See, that's why the Avengers are so popular. Okay.
So, now, it used to be this designated survivor thing, that the member of the cabinet who was chosen, they would be invited to the White House while the president's giving the State of the Union message. And they could order anything from the White House mess.
Yeah, I get to play in the kitchen.
Yeah, exactly.
But not anymore.
Yeah, one person who was a designated survivor, she brought her family up with her, and they ordered pizza, and they were just so delighted to have pizza at the White House. It was just so cool. And, other people... they don't want to make a big deal, but they want to tell their friends and family, guess where I am?
Yeah.
I'm the designated survivor.
Look at me on Pinsta-Face.
Yeah. So nowadays, after 9/11, there's just added security. It's taken the fun out of it.
Now you're in a gray bunker somewhere.
Yeah, and nobody knows where it is or anything like that. And then once the president's safely back at the White House, you're released and you get to go back to your normal life.
Go buy your own pizza.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Now, this removing a president for disability, there's been some chatter about that, about the current president, but, Woodrow Wilson had a stroke
yes.
as president, and he was not replaced. This was
Correct.
not invoked. His wife shielded
Yes,
him.
Edith Wilson.
Edith
Yes, probably the first woman president of the United States.
That's exactly right, because she was running the show while he was
Yes.
laid up.
Yeah, and what happened is that Woodrow Wilson had a stroke, and he and his wife and his doctor basically stayed up in the second floor of the White House. No one was allowed to see him.
Yes.
So no one knew how bad a shape he was. It was only later when we got a hold of the medical records that we go, oh my God.
Yeah, he had a serious stroke.
He had a serious stroke. He had difficulty speaking. He couldn't write for a period of time. And his wife would carry messages that she said were from him, but there's all sorts of evidence that they weren't from him, that she was creating them herself.
Yeah.
So why wasn't this
Put into place. Yeah, or
and
invoked,
it was very
yeah.
simple. The family refused to let the vice president know what was going on. That's
cut him out.
That's my memory of it.
Yeah, no, I think
I didn't even know who the vice president was.
I couldn't. I'd have to go back and
we'll
dredge it
have
up.
to do some work on that.
Well, and that's kind of that kind of points to the isolation of the vice presidency.
Yeah.
It was completely in full maturity by that point.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Now, the first president to die in office, William Henry Harrison.
Yeah.
John Tyler was the next one.
Well, no, John Tyler lived a ripe old age. Lived long enough to be a Confederate government official.
No, but John Tyler became the president. He
Yeah.
was the vice president. And there was questions because
His accidency.
there was
Yeah.
people who said, no, he's really not the president.
Yeah, we didn't pick him.
Yeah, exactly. We picked William Henry Harrison.
And then Zach Taylor died in office. Got Millard Fillmore.
Yeah. And so how do you get the legitimacy? You may have the office, but do the American people accept you? And that's something that every president who succeeded another president has really struggled
Harry
with.
Truman had to finish up a war
Yeah.
after
he
a
did.
president died.
Yeah. Just as an aside, we're currently in the longest period in American history where we have not had a president die. Don't say that to jinx anybody or anything like that, but we have not had a president die since John F. Kennedy. And that period of time to the present is the longest in American history we've ever gone without a president dying.
Interesting.
It used to be that you would expect in our lifetimes that you would have at least one, if not two, presidents die in office.
Yeah, you're right.
And
During the arc of my life, there's not been one.
there hasn't been one. And in mine, I'm a little older than you, there's been John F. Kennedy. But for most of American history, you could expect it.
Most of the
30,
people
40,
watching this
50
video
years. Yeah.
can't even contemplate it.
Yeah. But,
Oh, they can contemplate it.
they can contemplate it because, but I mean, it's one of those things we need to think about, and we need to accept that it is possible that a president will get sick and die, a president will be assassinated, there could be an accident, whatever. But that presidents can die, and the Constitution anticipated that, and there's ways to deal with it. Now, most of what's in here in the Constitution that we just talked about actually has been superseded, in fact, by the 25th Amendment, and that really goes to disability of the president.
Okay.
So there's political opponents of President Trump today who talk about the 25th Amendment as a way to remove the president from office, and we'll discuss that later on.
Okay.
Okay?
So that's our line.
That is our line. The framers thought that presidents could die, they could be disabled.
Remember, thou art mortal.
Yes, exactly. So they needed to create a way to get around that. And what they did is they said the vice president will be the person. And then a line of secession after that.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, so that's our line, and we'll pick up something else presidential, I'm assuming, with the next clause
Yep.
in the next episode. Thanks.